Good morning. It's wonderful to be back here and speaking to this amazing group of students in HTM. First of all, I want to applaud you all for dressing in a suit in whites. I think it's beautiful. It also reflects our industry and where it's going. So I want you to be proud of yourself. You picked a great major and you're just starting out. And not only is it a great major, but it's also a wonderful lifestyle profession as well, with the boutique industry, the cruise line industry, and of course the airline industry. I'm based out of LA. I have a video to show you, and this video is highly engaging where I'm talking to a group of senior sales executives from Alaska Airlines, Super Shuttle, Executive Car, Montrose Travel Agency, as well as Linda Sperber with Sperber Hotel Group, all boutique businesses in the realm of big brands. Alaska's big, it goes against American, it goes against United, it goes against Delta. Montrose Travel Company goes against American Express, Carlson Wagon Lee Travel. I'm also, on this video, you'll see Linda Sperber. She's an older woman that has booked presidents at the Four Seasons, to the Century Plaza with Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Bill Clinton. You're seeing me coming from my experiences of graduating from Purdue in '89, moving on to culinary school in Johnson, Wales, and most importantly, having my own catering business, my own company right now with Flowers Hotel Group, concentrating in sales and marketing and event planning. And then, of course, I want you to really focus on what we're talking about, because if you want to move into the sales world, which we all want to do, because even if you're in operations in restaurants or operations in the hotel world or whatever industry you do select, it's all about sales, and it's all about engaging with that customer. You cannot get that sale if you're disengaged, and you cannot get that sale if you don't have that interaction with that customer or client. Like we say in our business, it's all about the customer experience and making them feel really good. It's no more relevant today. Today I'm a mentor, today I have my own company, and tomorrow you're going to be the mentors of tomorrow's industry as well. So I want you to move on from this class and feel really good about the industry that you picked. I'm proud of Marriott Hall. I want to thank Rich for having me here, because I come from the boutique side of the business, and we're a little bit less rule driven, even though we have high standards. We expect a lot out of our employees, and we certainly want our employees and our associates and the clients that we work with to be highly engaged in love and passion, but it's not always easy, and I know that. You're going to go through a great deal of experience, and you're going to work your way up and sideways and down and backwards and moving forward. But please watch the video. We produced it out of LA. It was out of a really cool new boutique hotel in Los Angeles. And I was waffling, wondering, should I show the oceans? Should I show the palm trees? Should I show the Hollywood sign? But I selected just to stay focused at a cool boutique hotel with exemplary service, which is what we all are doing here today with HTM at Purdue. I also want to mention I have a handy dandy assistant. My sister Paige is in the back, and she graduated from the program in '96. She's a JetBlue airline employee, as well as she worked for the Ritz-Carlton immediately following Purdue. So, you know, we all have our chosen paths, and we all can walk off our chosen paths, but just stay focused, and most importantly, our business that we are in today is fun. And if we don't have fun, then we're not making business, and we're not having we're not making those relationships, those key networking relationships. So we're going to roll the video. We're going to talk a little bit together about the video for 5 minutes afterwards, and then I have a couple engagements that I have planned for the group within an hour. So I'm going to take you a little bit off the path of the normal listening lecture for the last hour and the last classes that you've been sitting through. So please watch the video, and then I'll ask a couple of questions about the video, and then we'll move on with the rest of the agenda. Thank you very much. No music. We have to cue the audio.
broke. Tourism is up. Corporate travel is up. But why do I love living in LA? Is because we're interfacing with exciting clients. We're interfacing with sunshine every day.
It's perfect weather.
I mean, we just have it all here. You know, if you want to go to the beaches, you go to the beaches. Right. You want the snow, you go to Big Bear. There's everything here. There's nightlife. There's things to do with family. There's Disneyland.
But there's no place like home.
Right.
Well, I think Los Angeles, because we're the gateway to Asia for the rest of the nation, and so that's very exciting. Anytime you're in a real cosmopolitan atmosphere, you're introduced to more.
It's got every industry here, so you can tap into startups, tech, pharmaceutical, entertainment. It gives you a variety of opportunities, and everybody has different travel needs. So you do have those people that do have to do all those international jobs, or that have companies in New York and do a lot of transcon, going from LA to New York, back and forth, back and forth. So in LA, you've just got a variety here, and we're not a city that's dependent on one airline carrier or one hotel chain. We have a variety, we have choice here. And that really works well for the corporations and the businesses that are in LA, because they can now leverage. So I think that's what makes LA strive to get bigger and better and to bring in more business where needed, because we're able to offer so many choices that are going to work for that client.
I think it's a great point. I think because we're diversified. It's exciting, exciting.
Where you can grow to in your career. I've worked resorts, I've worked hotels, I've worked transportation, I've worked rental car. I'm ready to sell the city. I'm ready to sell LA because I feel like I've gotten around about education. I know what a hotel needs. I know what the theme park needs. I know what the super shuttle, I know what the driver needs, I know what the guest needs. So when you're here, you can transfer, you make all these connections with everybody in your industry. You're able to say, I want to go to the Westin, I want to go work there, I want to go to the Hilton. You can get your way in, rather than, staying at the Spring Hill Suites in City.
Okay, now we've just ruined it for Kansas City.
What's in it?
all of
We're not
No, you gotta look at Chicago's good, Atlanta's good, Texas, Dallas, Houston.
I thought it was
Austin is huge right now. Austin is really big.
It's vertical in a big city. It's upward movement. You can fail, you can succeed. But coming out of this recession, Flowers Hotel Group is my great success story. But I think also you have to have failure to create success. And I really believe that. I grew up in Hawaii on the Big Island, Volcano Island in Hilo, very small town. And while my family could afford to island hop, so you're going from one rock to the next, the people, the language, the food, everything was the same. And so you had to get on an airplane if you wanted to go anywhere. And I think very early on I made it kind of my dream job was to work for an airline. And fortunately, after I graduated from school in Oregon, it all kind of fell into place.
Speaking more on the airline side, my background in these, that got me inspired to work in travel, was to be a flight attendant. And I think all of us could look back to those years of Pan Am and Western, right? It was the most glamorous thing in the world to do, is to be a flight attendant, and I idolized that so much, and chose that I wanted that path because it would give me the opportunity to see and experience different cultures and different people, and understand how they travel and why they travel, because everybody walks on a completely different purpose of why they're there. So I was fortunate enough to become a flight attendant and be a flight attendant for many years, and really understand the service of travel and the experiences that people have going from point to point, whether it be for business or for leisure or honeymoon or even a sad situation where they're getting on a plane. And to be able to have that face-to-face time just excited me even more in this industry of just how far we can take it. Yes, it's very glamorous and it's very hard work, but it's rewarding.
Being in the travel industry, it's the greatest field to be in, and it just has a lot to offer. And I got to travel all over for Westin, 4 seasons. But with my own company, I've worked Turkey, Russia, it's been amazing.
A lot of my friends that I went to school with can't keep up with my travel schedule. They always leave me messages, where are you now? And that was before Facebook. You know, where are you now? Where are you going now?
My start was that at the Century Plaza, working as a hostess. I realized I could sell this. It was a fabulous hotel. And it was a little hard getting started because they didn't want to hire women in sales. So I left, came back again as a hostess, still wouldn't hire me, left again, came back, and I was the first woman for the Century Plaza Hotel. And I went from there and got my experience. I booked presidents, I booked Fergie and Andrew at the Four Seasons, and there were many when I was working at the Four Seasons, many, many stars. I mean, when we first opened the first Academy Award, we had 32 of the nominees in the hotel. And Jessica Tandy was one of them, and she won, and I booked her. So they just went on and on. I mean, my career was just fabulous on property.
Okay, John and myself, we are the only two women in our office that have a manager position. Everyone else is a man. I mean, we deal consistently. If you look at transportation, limo, shuttle, taxi, you're going to find men in sales roles, you're going to find men, and so we kind of have to be we're these tough girls walking. We got to work it down. Yeah.
So how do we weave in the men component to make sure that we're not disrespecting the young men in the audience?
Yeah, don't, because you don't want to start it. We've got women running this, women running all of it. We sound like, let's get up and burn our bras. Where are you going here?
But I do want to see women running airlines. I have seen panels every year at
Well,
TV.
that industry, that industry hasn't evolved yet. If you go to technology companies, some of the top women are running.
IBM is always down.
They just had the girl in,
but they're running it.
I just taped Katie the other day, and the girl, the president of Facebook. She's a woman. So there are women running industries, but let's don't campaign on that. Like, we've got to get all these kids interested, boys and girls.
I know, right? Okay, good. Thank you.
From the airline perspective, traditionally, I think the executive management team, as with Super Shuttle, tends to be men, or it has traditionally for the two airlines I work for anyway. But you do see women entering at maybe mid-management levels, or even further front line, bottom up, working their way up. Talent is talent, so it's going to be recognized wherever you are, whatever company you're at. So I think there's a spot for everybody in the travel industry, but it has to be your passion, whether you're female or male. If you love the industry, love your job, or have a passion for flying, or any of it, that's what's going to shine through, and you'll be successful.
In the hotel business, when I started, I was the only woman, and there were 8 men. And now today, there are as many women, and they're running hotels, they're directors of sales, they're managers of hotels, and one of my hotels that I went up, the one in Paris, she owns the hotel. Like you say, talent, they can't keep us back.
Beautiful.
For men and women to start, they started bellman, or they started concierge or front desk, and they worked their way up. It's hard work though, really. It's the talent, you have the talent, the drive, and the hard work. And if you put that hard work, you can go anywhere. I mean,
I really believe it, yes. Experience, the harder you work, everything I did was hard work. I mean, the hours I gave, the weekends I gave up, and everything, but it got me to where I'm going.
and those first sales calls too, to come into the industry, they like shut the door in your face, you just want to come cry. It's not easy. It's very competitive. I mean, my first sales position was in rental car. I worked for a high-line rental car company called Beverly Hills Rent a Car, and we had a competitor, Midway, and I will never forget, we had different products, but for some reason, when the year I came in, people just did not like the company, and it was very hard to swallow when we used to win. And I was like, okay, but I still go see them, and I still build the relationship, and slowly but surely, when they needed follow me, and I was there.
But they use Midway, they use your competitors, or they use you because of the relationship that the salesperson cultivated. It's the relationship.
And you just keep going in there, and then one day they're going to need you, and that's when you reel them in.
Exactly.
What's fun now about doing sales, and it's corporate sales, is going up to clients that need your help. People buy from people they like. People buy from people they trust. And if you're able to provide them a solution in travel that makes that experience just a little bit better, then it's just such a rewarding feeling.
Being from the airlines, I think one of our biggest challenges in the past 2 years has been competing with video conferencing in terms of sales meetings. And I have to say that over time, most corporations have found that the first piece of travel that has returned within their company is the face-to-face contact. Everything is automated, from online to mobile applications that help you travel quicker and faster. But the moment your traveler gets to the airport, what are they looking for? They want to have individualized attention to meet their personal needs in that moment. And it's a stressful thing. Travel is stressful. But, you know, it's real life experiences, and I think unless you have people behind the counter that can help them in that situation, it's difficult.
There's always room for technology. It's there for instant gratification, but it's not going to make it solid for the rest of the time. You have to bridge that and show a happy medium between technology and that personal touch.
I think the most important aspect about that personal connection and that personal relationship is understanding the culture of that company and the client that you're working with. You can never understand the culture or the personality of the company until you pick up the telephone or unless you're in front of that customer.
And everybody's different, and you just don't know who you're going to be dealing with in this industry. So getting the best training, the best guest service, and the best education you can get will really inspire you to work hard in this industry.
Well, for me, it's been quite a fun ride. It's always been for me in the transportation industry. You know, sitting behind a desk, now being in sales. As you're making building that relationship with all these other suppliers, corporations, you know, you build a friendship as well.
It's a great way to make a living. It's a great way to make a living, to provide for your family, provide for your future, to the travel and tourism fields. Absolutely.
I asked Merv Griffin one time, I said, you've had talk shows, you've owned companies. I said, why the hotel business? Tell me, why did you pick the hotel business? And he said, Linda, it's just like show business. You got to bring them in, entertain them, and bring them back. And I said, I never realized I was in show business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It is an entertaining business.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we would change it for the world.
I love that. Did you enjoy it as much as I did? The entire sales spectrum is right up there in the screen. I had 2 hours of conversation and I said, Angela, to my production company, we gotta shrink it a bit. And we need to add some music. But it was a lot of fun making this film. And I was wondering, what am I gonna do to talk about the sales experience? I'm coming from the boutique side of the business. Yes, the corporate traveler is very important. When I talk about corporate travel, we're talking in LA, the studios like Fox and Sony and Paramount and Viacom, the television shows and the movies that we watch on the big screens in the cineplexes. When we talk about corporate travel, we're talking about Credit Suisse Bank out of Chicago, Deloitte & Touche out of Chicago. When we talk about corporate travel, this is corporate travel. It's not about
it's not about the travel that you and I are boarding when we're going to see mom and dad on spring break, but the business travel, I'm just going to touch on this really quickly so you understand where I'm coming from. Business travel is what's driving the economy in business travel today, with the airlines, hotels, transportation, and limousine companies. When you hear about business travel in the news or in the paper or online, this is what we're talking about. The executives care about who's in the front of the plane rather than who is in the back. When I flew here for the football game on Saturday, I was in the back. But when I'm going to France, I'm going to be in the front because that's where and how I travel. And that's one of the perks in traveling and accruing all these wonderful relationships and being in the field that I'm in. So most importantly, a couple of things I want to touch on, and then I'm going to ask about your expectations in the industry because it's a broad spectrum. You're here maybe about the restaurant, maybe about the hotel, maybe about the cruise line, maybe about catering. Maybe there's something that I'm not touching on. I want to hear that as well. But I want to touch upon the sales experience, and this will never change, and this is what makes our business thrive and wonderful, is that people will buy from people they like. Write that down, and I want you to carry that. And it's up to you if you want to practice that principle, but in the world of hospitality, it's all about how you make people feel. And it's really easy to stand up here and talk about that, but only until you have lots of wonderful bosses, and not so many wonderful bosses, do you really understand that principle, because people buy from people they like. Also, I think when Linda was talking about Merv Griffin, your grandparents and your parents probably know who Merv Griffin is, but you may not. Merv Griffin was a hotelier and a talk show host in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And he was a multimillionaire, and he actually owned the Golden Globes many years ago, and that's where the Golden Globes in February is always recorded and produced. The Golden Globes right next to the Oscars. But he owned this wonderful hotel. It was a flashy hotel, and he drove all the celebrities here and all the presidents there. But Merv Griffin basically said, the business that we're in is show business. It's like filling the theater, it's filling an auditorium, whether it's a restaurant or hotel or a limousine or a cruise line. You gotta reel them in, and then you gotta bring them back. And that's the most important element, is we're in show business. Whether it's at the front desk, hostess stand, airline flight attendant carrying the the beverages, or you're a top shelf executive. And that's the most important thing I think I really want to touch on in that video. I'm going to have that video on YouTube. Also have that video on my website, so you could always go back to it. If you want to share it with other industry fellows, I welcome you to. But it's just really important for you to understand the corporate business travel world, that there's a huge segment out there. And it's what's keeping us going and going and going. And then, of course, we visit the restaurants with our travel and expense, travel and expenditures. And then, of course, you've got the limousine, you've got the car rental segment. And I come from the boutique world, and the boutique world is wonderful. And I do want to touch upon people that they like, and then our business is really show business. And you can see that in your lobby at Marriott Hall. You can see that in those flashy, beautiful posters that you have from your Lavanza coffee. That's show business right there. And that's pretty sexy. I didn't have that when I was here in the 80s, and I think that's pretty hot. So right now, I want to talk to you about, I want to see does anyone have a long-term goal written down? I want to see, your expectations in the industry. I'm going to ask for a little engagement here. I want to see a raise of hands. Who knows what they're doing when they're finishing the 4 years? If they're going to continue, and it's okay. I'm not going to, it's not going to be cemented, but I want to see in a raise of hands who's going to be here. Who has a long-term goal outside of the 4 years, or if you're just developing your goals. I understand you're a freshman class, but you have some idea what you want to do. So I want to see a raise of hands, some goal-oriented people. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Excellent, all the way in the back. Excellent, all the way in the back. And have I, Jody Flowers, touched on the industries that maybe you're focused on the goals? Have I missed anything? I touched on airline, hotel, cruise line, catering, food and beverage. Have I missed anything? I want to know that. Oh, I love it. Okay, she mentioned events. And that's actually another business that I do. I produce events in Hollywood. So I'm glad you reminded me. Thank you very much. Event planning is awesome. Meeting planning and event planning is another huge segment. You could work for yourself or you could work for another company, get that experience, and then branch off and end up working for yourself. But the most important thing is you have to have clients before you work for yourself, and you have to keep those clients. And then those clients, of course, have to see your value in the industry and see that you're ahead of what you're doing. And I absolutely could say having an education from Purdue University will keep you ahead. And I know that we have a lot of competitors out there in the industry, but when they do see Purdue on your resume or on your website or written down as a business owner or as a sales associate or as an employee, that definitely is a leg up in our industry. I do want to have you now take 5 minutes, and this is where on this video, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do in 5 minutes. On this video, we talked about networking and the value of networking. And the value of networking is refers you to your next job, refers you to your client, refers you to the possibility of having that big contract or not that big contract. But the most important value in networking is that trusting relationship that you have. And I understand I'm not talking to you about numbers and about specifically what I'm doing in my business, but actually on that level of networking, is that people buying from people that they like, that is what I do for a living. And I wouldn't have Flowers Hotel Group and I wouldn't have my event planning company in Hollywood if I didn't have those two key components. And I am very spoiled because I do live in LA and we understand the mindset of show business, and everyone is a VIP. You know, whether it's a high budget production or a low budget. And coming from LA, everyone's a VIP, absolutely. So right now, the value of networking is, I want to see a raise of hands again. Who knows your neighbor on your side? Do you know your neighbor? Do you know your neighbor? Okay, so this is good news for me. I'm going to ask you to turn around to someone that you don't know and introduce your name in your hometown and state and let them know where you're from. So we're going to take 2 minutes and we're going to start our networking. Because everyone here, I didn't see that many raise of hands that people knew each other. So I'm going to ask you to meet other people right next to you with your handshake, name, and hometown. And then we'll get back to the reason why I'm doing this.
Let them know like what boutique means, like how many hotel rooms. They might not realize it's from like 20 to 60 rooms.
Thank you.
They're thinking Marriott's like 300.
Thank you.
Boutique can be like your 12. Carrie's Hotel in Palm Springs is 13 rooms.
God, thanks.
Your Vancouver's what, 20 rooms or whatever?
6 or 7. He's around here somewhere. He's around here somewhere. Paige. Paige, how was the video?
Good. Yeah.
People look engaged, right?
And it reminds people why they're meeting is because you want to see, when you see each other on campus or in class, ask them. And then ask them like something about their hometown or, you know. And then remind them too, like when
this little boy needs to meet someone right here.
I know, when they go home for the holidays, you know, maybe meet someone at an alumni club. Maybe there's a local alumni club.
He's got to meet you. Oh, you did? Okay, good. That's my sheet. Alrighty, our 120 seconds is almost up. All right, so now who knows your neighbor, hometown and name? I need all hands. I need all hands. I love it. Thank you very much. The reason for this exercise is I believe this is a freshman class. If not, it's an introduction to our hospitality and tourism management class. You now have created new relationships in this audience for the rest of your life. And that's pretty impactful and very powerful. You now know their name, you now know their hometown. What you choose to do with that is up to you. But the smart ones will use that to your advantage. So please always remember your friend's name and the hometown and enjoy. You just create a new relationship and hopefully a new friend. Moving on, I want to make sure, my sister reminded me, Jody, don't forget to mention what boutique means in the field of hospitality. Boutique, for instance, like I mentioned at the very beginning, Alaska Airlines against Delta and American and United. Montrose Travel is a travel management company where corporate travelers and leisure travelers are calling this travel agency and booking their travel online or through the global distribution system, GDS. I could talk to you about that forever, but that's another lecture. Linda Sperber Hotel Group is a company like myself. She and I are fierce competitors, but she's also my mentor. And I'm also one of her mentors. And I really love that relationship from Linda. And then, of course, Super Shuttle is a boutique company against all the other shuttle companies out there in the US. But the boutique world in the hospitality hotel environment that I work in really is quite dynamic and interesting. It's not the Marriott, it's not the Hilton, it's not the Hampton Inn, it's not, executive stay, long-term stay hotels. What we are is basically smaller boutique hotels, independently owned and run. However, Marriott does have this really cool boutique brand called The Edition that they're rolling out all over the country. Their first edition with an E was in Honolulu. So Marriott is branching off into the boutique world, which is awesome. Because when you see these big brands are just bulldozing right down the turnpike. But then you got the boutique world, and this is the side that I'm from, is the small independent boutique owner, and we run it with high standards, and we run it with full operating restaurants. You may be familiar with brands like the Kimpton Group or Joie de Vivre, Genre Hotels. Hotels that are boutique could be anywhere from 5 rooms all the way up to maybe 200 to 300 rooms. The hotelier that started the boutique brand in the United States was Ian Schrager. Ian has now morphed into the Morgan's Hotel Group after many lawsuits. But the most important thing for you to know about the boutique world, it's out there, and it's out there for you, and we want to know the future of America. We have a slice of this market, we have the slice of the production, we have the slice of the business traveler. We know and understand that customer need because we're interacting with the guests, and this is the boutique world. It's large, and I want you to go out there and find it. But I did mention a couple of hotels, hotel chains that are in boutique brands, like Kimpton and Joie de Vivre, Genre Hotels, Flowers Hotel Group, Linda Sperber Group. And I work specifically with hotels in Vancouver. That's a 67-room hotel, the St. Regis, independently owned. I also work with 2 boutique hotels in the south of France. And I have been working with these folks, these people for almost 6 years. And it all started 20 years ago after I graduated from Purdue, when I started backpacking through Europe. And I really felt as if my travels through Europe and travels through France, specifically in sampling champagne, eating cheese, enabled me to help accrue these relationships in the south of France. But also, they also hired me for my expertise in the LA market with production entertainment companies for the Cannes Film Festival. And I also work with hotels in Las Vegas, that's boutique. And is the mic okay? Okay, good. All right. So that's the boutique world. Okay, so these independent hotels. So as you go through your career here, as you go through your experience, boutique hotels exist all over the world. It's just for you to discover. It's like a wonderful book. So we talked about networking. We talked about the power of people buying from people they liked. We talked about the trust. We talked about the boutique environment, whether it's the cruise line, whether it's all the way up to the hotel world. We also talked about the value of the show business factor in our business. So let me look back at my notes and see what else I have to talk about. Okay, so I have about 10 more minutes before we're gonna do a Q&A. And I wanna ask from this group, like I need a couple more hands raised. From this group, who has already planned or decided their internship or their study abroad program? Okay, good, excellent. Okay, I love that. The study abroad program is pretty awesome. If any of you or all of you could go on it, I definitely recommend it. I know a little bit about it, but I could definitely say my travels after graduating from Purdue, prior to enrolling in culinary arts school, gave me definitely the best experience that I could ask for in the School of Hospitality and Tourism, by meeting and talking to other folks. And I was over in Europe traveling with the backpack for 6 months. Back then in the 80s, you know, it was a $2,000 budget. I don't know if $2,000 could get you past 2 weeks, but it was a pretty wonderful experience. The internship is a fabulous way of knowing what you could do, and maybe this is something that you want to do in that segment of the industry. So I saw a raise of hands with the internship and the study abroad program, but I also want to see a show of hands. I'm going to ask for more engagement. So it's all about engagement. This is what our business is. I'm going to also see a raise of hands in our business, which is a little sacrificial. We always have to work weekends and holidays and those all-important night shifts, whether it's in whatever segment you choose. But I want to make sure that you're prepared for that, because we're going to class and we have a wonderful time. And then, of course, we network after class, whether it's our sorority or fraternity or co-op or back at the dorm. That's networking too. So I want to see a raise of hands, and this is a hard question to ask, but if we're all prepared to work the weekends and the holidays and the night shift. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. That's what we do. When people sleep, we serve them, right? I'll never forget this comment that the hardest job that we have is keeping people entertained or focused, because when they're at their most absorbed time with eating or drinking or dining or checking into the hotel, that we have to give them our best. And that's always kind of difficult sometimes, but that's what we're here for. That's why we have the School of Hospitality and Tourism. So I'm just going to open this up to a little Q&A. I want to make sure that, I could talk numbers, absolutely. I could throw out revenue management numbers. I could talk global distribution numbers. I could certainly talk about numbers that I'm doing at the hotel. But I think that was more important, that I wanted to stress about the boutique environment that we all live in. As we've gotten out of this recession, even more so, and we're going into 2013, there's going to be more opportunities out there for all of you and for all of us. So I just want to make sure that you knew that there's this vibrant industry out there. In whatever segment it is, you could wear this, and you could wear flats, and you could wear tights and funky jewelry, because it's pretty darn fun. And let's talk. I know you had a question. Yes, please.
Okay. My first was, what did you want to accomplish by going to culinary school? Because
Yeah,
what you said, you're
good question.
in the culinary industry.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it helping you now that you
Oh God, good question. Do you want me to answer that now? Okay, so the young lady with the pretty pink wrap around her neck asked me, what did I want to accomplish when I went to culinary school? So this is going to be really selfish, and I know you're going to understand this when I say it. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to get my 4-year degree at Purdue, and then I wanted to go to culinary school because I wanted to make sure I had just as much education on the paper. So when I was working at a culinary school, I had my own catering company outside the culinary school. But then I want to, of course you always want to make more money. So how are you going to make more money? More education, more experience. So I think that was number one. But number two is, I grew up here in Lafayette, Indiana, and my mother always cooked for me. I just never learned how to cook. So it's not like, but that served me well, because I'm an event planner I understand, I mean, I cook for, you know, I had my own catering company for many years. We did weddings and events in South Carolina, now I do them in Hollywood, besides Flowers Hotel Group. So it's like, you know, when you understand about food costs and you understand about labor costs and you understand how to cut the vegetables and the fruits and how to make them really pretty, it's all about, it's all that. So definitely about learning, you know, to make more money, but also really to teach me how to cook because I was committed to the business and I knew that's what I was missing. I just knew I was missing that component. Yeah. Oh, good question. I love that. Okay, so she asked me, what do I do for the hotels in the south of France, Vancouver, and Vegas, and LA? Okay, so this is an excellent question because 20 years ago, my position in companies like myself didn't exist. So 20 years from now, when you're in positions, maybe in the position that you have doesn't exist. But going back to my job description and what I do for a living is hotels, boutique hotels, and that's my brand, is working in specializing in exclusive hotels worldwide, is they hire me and my company to work with, and because I live in LA, and it only works in LA and New York, and then we could have sub-offices in Chicago or London and other international locations. They hire my company to work with the travel agent market that is working with the production, the stars, the bands that we listen to, the studios. And because I've been in the business in LA for close to 20 years, I know the decision makers, and from those relationships that I work with for all those years, I could call them and ask, hey, I need you to start booking the hotels. It's not that easy, but I'm gonna simplify it and say, the hotels hire me to work that market and the rest of the US market for that corporate business traveler coming out of the LA market. Because everyone wants to go to LA, everyone wants to do business in LA, but it's not easy to get in there. And because I've been there, I know the right people to call. South of France, who knew? I don't speak French, but they hire me, and I wish I did, but they hire me because I go right to the decision makers on the stars. I know who's booking where. I know where Angelina Jolie's going. I know when Brad Pitt is going. I know where they're staying, and so I could call their travel agent or their corporate travel manager and say, I got this for this, can you do this? Absolutely. You know, I work with William Morris, I work with all the talent agencies. So all those LA buzzwords that you hear and read in the news are out there for all of you, but it does take a while and it doesn't happen overnight, so 20 years. But I've had my company for 7 years. Well, it'll be 6. It'll be 6. It goes fast. So, excellent question. So, my company, Flowers Hotel Group, is a sales and marketing company for independent boutique hotels. They hire my company to get their hotel because they don't have that national sales office like the Marriott or the Hilton. They hire me. I know there's more questions. I want to see. Yes?
How did you got into that business? Like, how did you get to LA from here?
Ah, good question. So the young lady in the white shirt asked, how did I get into the business? So graduating from, bless you, I graduated from Purdue in '89 and went to culinary school. And then I had my own catering company for a couple of years, and it was awesome. It was if you want to get into catering for yourself, there's a lot of money to be made. It's a lot of hard work though. If you want to talk about the night shift is there. But the most important thing, how I got to where I'm going, is it's a constant journey. And so basically I worked for Marriott, and then right after Marriott in South Carolina for a number of years, I handled a multi-million-dollar account in Marriott in South Carolina, and I just knew I wanted to change. You'll know when you want that change. So I headed west to LA several years ago in the early mid-90s and worked with a company called Carey Hotels. And he and I, Carey's a graduate from Purdue, you know, in the early 80s, and he and I created this company called Carey Hotels, and it was a niche market, and then we developed it with 1 client to 2 clients to 3 clients. Clients are the hotels. working with the travel agent market, working with the airlines. It's all about the relationships. And it's not lateral, it's vertical and broad. So I got into the business because then Carey Hotels was sold, and then the very next day, when that company was sold and there was some turnover and changes, I had my very first client, and I've been in business ever since. So, you know, the universe will look after you if you look after the universe. You know, so if you see that piece of trash, pick it up. It will take care of it. It will take care of yourself as well. So it's a wonderful industry, and I think we're getting near the end.
You want one more question?
Yeah, I would love one more question. I want to see a man. I want to see a young man. I need a man to ask. I've always had the women. Come on, guys. Don't let me down. Yes, I got a young lady.
How's working in like the South of France and Vancouver different from working in the US?
Well, I work in LA and I travel to those locations for business. So they hire me to work in, but how you work in there, it's fabulous. It's great. You do have to have permits, but I go there for business travel. Yeah. Is the class over?
Almost.
Oh my God. Well, I want to say thank you. I think it's almost over. The video is going to be online. I have business cards here. And then Rich and I are going to start working on the alumni golf tournament for 2013 for the school. So I do have sign-ups. And Paige, we have some handouts to give. So if you want to be on my committee with Rich and a couple other faculty members, put your name here, get your email address, and we'll work via teleconferencing how to kick off this HTM golf event that's going to be at the Burke Center next year at Homecoming. I plan golf events, so it's not a problem. So who are the two people?
The two young ladies?
Yeah.
First?
Okay. So Paige has 2 gift certificates from XXX. I asked 2 questions, and those questions you were the first ones to ask, and those are gift certificates at the XXX, good for the Bernie Flowers burger, hence my last name, Flowers, with the root beer, tip and tax not included. But you have to get the Bernie Flowers burger, and you also have to get a root beer, which is wonderful, and the XXX is a great place to go anyway. So I want to thank you. The video is going to be online. I've got a website. I've got Facebook. I'm going to put the video on my website. And have a beautiful day.
Jody, I have a little token of our appreciation. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to share with the future generation of hospitality executives. Thank you so much.